Good evening, YouTube. Matt M. Roy back once again, back to with another Tech Talk live stream. So many of you have asked me to do these every once in a while, and let's face it, that's what this channel was built on. So here is another one for you folks. Now, tonight, towards the end of this, I'm going to answer a question, and forgive me, I don't remember which one of you asked this, but a couple live streams ago, I showed these Western Digital adapters that I got from Best Thrift. Actually, these things are 2.5 inch to 3.5 inch hard drive adapters. These work for solid state hard drives and conventional hard drives. But one of you out there mentioned to me that you think that the performance of an SSD might degrade while using these. So we're going to find out live, because this computer right behind me actually has one of these installed with this exact drive in there, one of these CS900 PNY SSDs. Now, I know from past experience what to expect vis-a-vis read and write speeds with these, but I don't know how much this will affect it. So you and I will learn together tonight whether or not this affects the performance of an SSD, but that's going to have to wait till a little bit later on. Hope everybody is doing really good this Sunday evening. I had a great time at church. Always get blessed when I go to church. We attend one of the best churches in the world, in my opinion. Yes, I'm probably biased there, but you know what? I'd be remiss if I didn't mention just a little bit of what we talked about today. Basically, the message was about living through faith and not through works. Basically, we can never be good enough to earn our way into heaven. We need to have the faith, and we need to believe that Jesus is our Lord and Savior and that He is in us. And if we've prayed that prayer and we truly believe that He died for our sins on that cross, then we are saved. Now, works are important. Don't get me wrong. That's the fruit of the Spirit, is love, joy, and peace. But you can't earn your way to heaven. And that's all I'm going to say about that. It was an awesome service today. Let's get back on topic here. This is going to be about technology. I'm going to try to get the lighting a little bit better here without totally blinding myself. That might be the best we can do. Let me try that. There we go. Much, much better. All right, so I see Awesome Computers is here, Eric's Variety Channel. I'm outside working on equipment right now. Sounds like what I'm going to be trying to do tomorrow. I'm going to try to film a little bit of this for you, but I have some work I need to do to the Tahoe. Mainly, I need to caulk around the windshield because it's leaking. The gasket is totally gone there. I'm not surprised. I mean, let's face it, it's a 24-year-old vehicle. And then I got to start sanding the roof because I need to go ahead and repaint that. But that's just a few things that I need to do. Awesome Computers, I just got an iPhone 8 for $40, cracked but fixable. And that's important because those phones generally are very tough to fix. But if they're not too badly cracked, like if the back glass is cracked, it's almost impossible to get that replaced. But if it's just a cracked screen and maybe the back glass has just got like a little crack in it, then yeah, those can be repairable. $40 is a decent price for that. Okay, so I'm going to try my best to get it to where you guys can see this. I know it's really kind of hard right now with the way the sun is kind of glaring on it. I'm not sure how we're going to be able to do this, but let's see. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. See, I think I'm just going to have to report the results there. My idea was to get this close enough to where you guys could see it run the test, but I don't see how that's going to be possible. We'll see what happens. I may be able to get it. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to make that out or not, but this is going to be for later on in the stream. Might work. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So what does everybody else want to talk about? This is going to be like your guys' live stream. This is going to be answering questions for all of you out there. What do you have that you need to be? What questions do you have that basically need to be answered? That's the best way to say it. That's about the only way I can say it. It's been an interesting Sunday too, by the way. Haven't really gotten a lot of work done today, but that's kind of not the point. Sunday is kind of the day of rest. Oh, all right. Well, yeah, I don't think that's going to work the way I thought it would. Oh, well. The best laid plans of mice and men, and they never seem to work out. But anyway, yes, Awesome Computers just said it. I was wondering when someone was gonna get to that. Big in the news right now. Linus Tech Tips covered this. CNN covered this. Sunday Morning America covered this. Products in general, especially those products that are made in China, which is just about everything nowadays, are going to be rising for the foreseeable future. And that is because for the longest time now, there have been quarantines because of COVID-19. Now, the good news about this is they are starting to reopen manufacturing facilities. So the places where they make SSDs, hard drives, memory, basically all the goods and services that come into the goods, that come into the United States, they're starting to make those again. However, the big problem is all this stuff is going to be sitting at the docks because the quarantine is still in effect. In other words, they can't get those items from China to the United States right now. So if you are thinking about building a computer now, make sure you stock up on components, memory, processors, SSDs especially. SSDs were going to rise in price anyway this year for a lot of various reasons. So if you still are looking to buy an SSD, now's the time to do it, folks, because if you wait another month or so, prices are going to skyrocket because of supply and demand. So as supply goes down, demand goes up. Trevor Peterson, I need to buy several SSDs. Where do you usually find the best deals for those? I generally buy mine in two different places. One is Best Buy. Right now they have a decent price on these PNY CS900s. These are those 240 gig SSDs. These are $36.99. They say $39.99 at the store, but they're really $36.99. And I've also found some good deals on eBay. I also like the ADATA SU630 SSD hard drives. But if you're going to do it, pull the trigger now because those prices are going up and they're going up pretty fast. Got to stock up on SSDs and RAM. Micro Center. Okay. I'm glad you mentioned this because when I was in Best Buy the other day, one of the sales reps there, not the ones that work there on a regular basis, but the ones that come in from the different companies. I think this one was either from HP or Verizon. I can't remember which, but he remembered that he used to visit the Micro Center stores when he lived in, I want to say it was like near Vegas, like outside of Vegas in Henderson or something, Nevada. And he said they're a great resource and you don't have to visit their stores directly, just like almost every other big box retailer. They are also online. So very, very good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Micro Center. I'm going to try something here real quick, folks. I'm not leaving you for long. I will be back in just a moment. Okay. All right, folks. I think we might get lucky here. You might be able to see that if I sit out of the way when the time comes. Actually going to shut this off. Let me see. Always fighting with lighting here, folks. It's never fun in my room. I'm telling you, with worst lighting conditions in here. All right, so we got 8 watchers and 1 like. Oh, I know what'll help. Forgot to light the Yankee candle. There we go. Let's see if that helps a little bit. I think it will. All right, so what does everybody want to talk about tonight? We've talked a little bit about prices of the SSDs rising, and that is definitely something you guys want to take advantage of. Well, the prices are still down, stock is still on the shelves. Make sure if you're looking to buy an SSD, if you're in the market to buy an SSD, do it now. Believe me, you won't regret it. Oh, I need to make myself some more room here, folks. There we go. Getting a little bit better here. Incidentally, the reason I'm doing the live stream over here is because my main system is down right now. I pulled the two monitors off, which are the ones that are sitting behind me right here. And those are going to be sold with that particular system. I have two other ones that I got from Best Buy that are sitting in my closet right now that I've yet to set up. People won't be as wasteful. Yeah, we are kind of wasteful in this society. That's been a problem for a while. We are a throwaway society in almost every sense of the word. So I was watching Linus's Tech Tips earlier, and you guys know I like watching his videos. It's amusing to say the least. And if you didn't get a chance to see it, he and a bunch of his coworkers took a trip down to Seattle to the new Amazon Go grocery store, basically where you can go in. You don't even have to talk to anybody. Just grab what you want and take them off the shelves, the products, and then you just walk out and Amazon charges your credit card instantly. And they do this by a varied of ways. They have cameras in all around the ceiling, which look at what you're taking and they can see what it is. They have barcode readers that are pretty much scattered all around. They're even using what they call pressure pads, like you would find in some of the higher end hotels, like in Vegas, where when you pull a product off of the shelf, it activates the pad and then immediately it knows to charge you. Now, the way it does that is, again, there's a barcode there. So as soon as you pull it off, it sees you're picking that up. And then it uses the cameras to kind of scan the barcode and then to basically scan you and find out what it is you're buying. Now, is it a foolproof system? No. And if you watch Linus's Tech Tips video, he will tell you why. I'm not going to spill the beans on that one. Oh, awesome computers. There you go. My parents just stocked up for a few weeks of food and water. Wow. Yeah. I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. It's made me a little nervous, but I take what's called a prayerful watch and wait stance. If you panic, it's not going to help. It's not going to change anything. So it is good to have the food and water stocked up, but don't worry too much about it. Whatever happens, happens. You know, there's not too much we can do about it, but we can be prepared. That's a good point. Eric said, I just accidentally tilled some of my yard. Uh-oh. Maybe had that lawnmower blade a little too far down. Prepared but not panicked. That's a great point. That is excellent. All right, so we have 15 people here. Let's go over some more tech news real quick while we're waiting for comments to come in. We'll go look at CNET real quick. Yeah, if you guys have heard the new Razer and Galaxy Z Flip phones, where the screen will actually flip into itself, they're having a lot of issues right now. A lot of people are concerned about their reliability and durability. And I've read quite a few articles on those, and apparently they haven't really quite perfected it yet. And what winds up happening is the more you open and close it like a standard flip phone, the more you run the risk of breaking that screen. So may not be quite time yet to pick up those foldable phones. George Blakely's here. Hey, George, how you doing? Well, we're about 15 minutes in. Since you guys are not really going to be able to see this that well, I'm going to go ahead and run the test. Once again, I installed a PNY CS900 240 gig SSD into this HP computer back here using one of these Western Digital 3.5 inch to 2.5 inch or 2.5 inch to 3.5 inch adapters, however you want to say it. And somebody had commented that these would degrade the performance of the SSD. I'm going to go ahead and run the test real quick. I am using Crystal Disk Mark version 17, just for anybody that's interested. And let's see if you guys will be able to see this at all. I'm going to do my best to get this to focus on here somewhat anyway. All right. I don't know how well you guys can see this, but the test is running right now. Okay. So, first indications are not that great, to be honest with you. I was cautiously optimistic that these would not degrade the performance of the SSD at least too severely. But it looks like that is not the case. And right now, I'm seeing sequential read speeds of about 280 megabytes per second. It's still running some of the other tests, but they're all averaging right around the 260 to 280 megabytes per second mark. Now, I will say that generally I get about twice that, maybe about 40%, because these are rated at 535 megabytes per second read and 500 megabytes per second write. And I usually get about 480 for both of those. So it does appear that this does degrade the performance quite a bit. Now, my hypothesis on why it's doing that, I'm thinking that maybe this is SATA 2 and not SATA 3, like I believe these drives are. You guys might be able to help me out with that, because I can't remember exactly which standard these Western Digital adapters run at. Yeah, we're running about 270 to 280 megabytes per second. So that is very disappointing. Now, in the grand scheme of things, is it going to make all that much difference in this system? Not really, because this is not a new system. I mean, this is a Core i5 2400 running at, 3.4 gigahertz with 8 gigs of RAM. So I am going to leave this system as is. It's not that bad. However, for future high-end builds, I'm going to have to forego using these adapters for most solid-state hard drives, because, yeah, to be honest with you, this adapter does degrade that performance almost 50%. And that's really a shame, because honestly, these things are a great option. These are all metal. You just plug the hard drive in there, your 2.5 inch hard drive, whether it be an SSD or a regular laptop hard drive, and then it basically turns it into a regular 3.5 inch drive. So a little disappointing, but you know what? That's why I do these tests. You guys help me out. You guys say, hey, look, Matt, I think this might hurt the performance. Well, that proves it right there. And write and read is about the same, about 275 megabytes per second average. So, all right, that kind of was like question answered there. Oliver Moore, this might be useful for you. SATA 2 is up to 300 megabytes per second. Ah, there you go. I'll bet you that's what it is. I will bet you these adapters run at SATA 2, because that would actually make sense, because that's about what this is capping out at. So sounds like that's what's happening. Classic Mobile Home is here. Charlie Lipinski is here. And that's it so far. I got 16 watchers and 5 likes. Okay, so let me get into the forefront here. try to get a little bit closer. I may wind up, actually, give me one sec, folks. Woo. All right, let's shine some more light on the situation. And I'll be honest with you, I do like the way that this camera works via the lighting situation, but it still does not have the same frame rate as the C922 Pro cam that I have on my Dell XPS A700. Incidentally, this is the C920, the older revision of that camera. CFWW, what brand is the adapter? It is a Western Digital. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but you see the big WD there? Yeah, you can kind of make it out there. This is a Western Digital, and it is model number T705234. I don't know if there's a date. See, I was not able to find anything about what like speed it ran at, but I probably do some more research on this later. I don't have my dual screen set up here right now, folks, so I can't really do research and talk and look at the chat at the same time. I'll get that set back up tomorrow once I get this system listed and hopefully sold. Need to recoup some of the money I shelled out for all of those Dell Optiplexes, which incidentally I'm doing really well. Sold quite a few of those. But I still have quite a few left. And honestly, they're mostly the i3s. Seems like everybody wants the i5s, but I kind of expected that. George Blake goes, I'm doing great, Matt. That's awesome. I had to put Stephen Barber, and I apologize, Stephen. I had to put you in timeout because we don't use that kind of language on the channel. He should be back in a minute, and hopefully we can try to keep things clean. I try to keep it as family friendly as possible, so no bad language, no innuendo as much as possible. All right, so I am actually not really filled with a lot of things to say tonight, other than the fact that, once again, if you are out there and you are looking to build a new computer, upgrade your current computer, make sure you buy those components as soon as possible because prices are going up. Probably in the very near future. I'm thinking a good 20 to 40%. And this has actually been an issue, believe it or not, even before all this. If you look at PC Magazine, all the way back in 2018, they were saying the same thing. You know, prices of components are going to be going up significantly. And back then, it was because of tariffs. That's when our current administration was going to put tariffs on Chinese imports. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, I actually do support that because I think that more products should be made here in the United States. It actually hurts us when we import more than we export. Basically, for many, many years, we've basically had a gross what's the word? I can't think of it right now, but we've basically imported a lot more than we've exported. So we've had a gross import and a net loss on the exports. And it really needs to stop. We need to bring a lot more manufacturing jobs back into the US. That way people, you know, especially in the Midwest, the blue collar workers can get back to work and they can feel like they don't have to be on assistance on the dole, you know, taking welfare, which is a lot of what's happening now. So I actually think it's a good thing. Now, a lot of those tariffs have been relaxed, especially for certain types of goods like this. But since then, we've seen a rise in a lot of manufacturing jobs coming back into the United States, especially in the Midwest. So believe it or not, the tariffs back then actually did what they were set out to do. Classic Mobile Home is down to 248. Excellent. Keep up the good work. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about is the current administration. So our president, his staff, and so on and so forth. Um, they have done a very, very good job, in my opinion, of bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States. So we're talking about textile jobs, not necessarily just making components, but bringing in, many many years ago we made appliances. Here in the United States, Maytag was made here in the United States, and from what I understand, that's actually the case again, once again. But it's a lot of other jobs too. I mean, we're talking about computer components. So we're talking about what's the word I'm looking for? But basically the blue collar millwork style jobs, and that covers a whole broad range of different products. All those things are starting to filter back into the U.S. And the reason they were able to do that is because they initially put those tariffs on the import of Chinese goods back again. I think it was 2018, and that gave companies the incentive to start making some of the products here in the US. Now, is it perfect? Do we have as much manufacturing again here as we used to? No, but it has gotten a lot better. Sam Hodgson, I picked up a 49-inch sharp LED TV for 75 pounds. The unit has intermittent sound issues. This should be an easy fix. I believe the main board on the TV is the issue. It certainly was it certainly was or wasn't a cheap set originally. Oh, certainly wasn't. Okay. If you're having problems with the sound, then yeah, it probably is the main board. Basically, there are a few different boards on TVs. You have the main board, which is like the logic board, like the motherboard in a computer, which controls the circuitry, the sound, the picture. You have the power board, which is basically like the giant power supply, and then you have an inverter board, which like controls the actual colors on the screen and basically what shows the image. The first thing I would look at is check for broken solder joints, because Sharp TVs were famous for having bad solder joints. So check for bad solder joints. And then you also maybe want to check some of the capacitors. Now, even though they're not bloated, they could still be failing. So get yourself a multimeter and check those capacitors. Make sure they are reading what they're supposed to be reading. Yeah, you should be able to do something with that. Worst case scenario, you could theoretically bypass the sound of the TV altogether, hook up something like an external receiver if the issue is too complex to fix. So we got 13 watchers. Awesome. Okay, let's keep them coming, folks. I'm good for a little while. I may just answer a quick text here while I'm waiting. Incidentally, I remember to put this in airplane mode. How many of you are like really good at typing on touchscreens? I'm terrible at it. I mean, I still hunt and peck. I know friends of mine that are like this, like, oh, done. With me, it'd be like, oh, wait a minute, autocorrect, delete it. Okay. I don't know. I guess I'm just clumsy that way. You always hear you're supposed to boast about your weaknesses and not your strengths. By doing that, you actually gain strength. That's what a humble person does. A humble person doesn't boast and brag about all their accomplishments. No, they actually boast about their weaknesses. And by doing that, you gain strength from the man upstairs. Now, we don't ever want to do that, because of our pride. We're very prideful by nature, but that's what we are supposed to do as a society. Although, let's face it, a lot of us struggle with that. I know I do. Trevor Peterson, have you ever tried converting VHS tapes to a digital format? And if so, what did you use to do that? I have done that quite a bit. I actually have a couple of things that I use. I actually use a old 1988 JVC Hi-Fi stereo VCR, and I have that hooked up to my Toshiba DVD recorder. I don't remember the model numbers, but I have them sitting right over here. And what I do is I usually hook it up. Well, in my case, I have to use composite because it's not a SVHS player, unfortunately. But I hook it up, the VCR, directly into the DVD recorder, and I basically just do a copy. So I'll play the VHS and copy it right to the DVD recorder. Now, there are other ways to do it. You can buy something like a Pinnacle DVD USB recorder for your computer, where you actually just plug your VCR into this adapter, and then the one end plugs into the USB port, and then you can download the software and run it on your computer. And actually, a lot of people say they prefer to do it that way, but I've always done it the old school way with my good old JVC VCR that I've had for years and my DVD recorder. Sam Hodgson, I use my two thumbs when typing, but then I was part of a generation growing up with touchscreens. I would say I am fairly quick. Yeah, I don't think I could do that. I mean, I can't imagine. So you basically do this. You're like, let me try that. Yeah, see, if I do that, well, I mean, I'm still not great if I do it that way, but yeah. You know what? I think it's just me being clumsy. I've never had really good motor skills. Hey, that's me boasting about a weakness again. There you go, folks. That's a weakness. K1 Classic. I was thinking of upgrading my XPS 700 to the fullest of, or purchasing a new Dell for music production and video editing. Help, LOL. Need USB Type-C, indeed super fast and quiet. I mean, for music production, the XPS 700 is more than capable. Now, if you need a USB-C connector, you can buy USB-C cards on eBay. Let's see. Now, wouldn't want you to try and get one from China right now. Let me see. Okay. All right. If you click that link that I just shared, and you'll go in your recently viewed items, you'll see the first one there is a PCI Express card that has one USB 3 port and then one USB-C port. And something like that would be fine. I mean, it's $15. I would just do that. William McCullough, problem solved with the Surface Pro 6 about freezing. It was latest update that throttled down when got too hot. Yeah, Microsoft has been having a lot of issues with updates recently. All right, folks, I am going to have to end it here tonight. My throat is getting very scratchy. I was hoping to get to an hour, but you know what? We all do what we can. Thanks for coming. Please continue to like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.